I'll go do twice.
I love your script, but I'm not doing your movie. And we're like,
Why?
oh my God, why? Yeah, what do you mean you're not doing your movie? You love script. He said, listen, I'm a screwed up guy. And he didn't say screwed up. He said, I'm a screwed up guy. And I don't have all the answers. I have all kinds of problems. And we're like, well, what kind of problems would you have? He goes, girls. And we're like, oh. And he says, look, if you rewrote the movie to make me a screwed up guy, maybe that's something I'd be interested in.
See, in the original draft of the script, did you explain this already? Okay, I was doing things. So he couldn't deal with the fact that we painted him as this godlike figure, but we all know that he is God. And so it's really hard to like not understand that. And we've heard the reputation, we've heard the different tapes, we've heard everything. We knew everything there was to know about Shatner, and it was baffling to us that he wouldn't want to portray himself.
Because even as we were auditioning people, all the actors were saying, oh man, this is like, you know, Tom Jones or Tony Bennett or John Travolta, the way they came back, you know, and are real hip now. And it was like, this is going to do that for Shatner. But Shatner just didn't get it. And fortunately, he said he gave us, you know, the chance to change the script a little bit. And we were throwing out ideas to him on the phone during that conversation, and he was saying some stuff back, and he's like, call me Bill, and we're going like that back and forth for a half hour. We're saying more like my favorite year, where the hero has a feet of clay, and blah, 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 blah. And then he goes, you boys have your marching orders. And we're like, okay, great, Bill. He says, now you can call me Mr. Shatner. So we do that. We went and we rewrote the script somewhat to accommodate his request. And he came on board and he said, look, this is great. I want to do the movie.
One of the funny things was we couldn't let him know that we were really fanatical Star Trek fans. We just didn't want him to. And he saw us as business people. Because Shatner, first and foremost, as we all know, is a businessman, Priceline.com. He's a business guy. So we're going over his lines with him and making sure everything's okay. And there's a speech he gives in the movie when he talks about Jill Ireland in the episode This Side of Paradise. And what did he say about Jill?
Well, it's really funny because when we're going over it, he says, you know, this actress died of cancer, and I don't think it would be appropriate to use her name in this context. Maybe you could go to a bookstore, pick up one of those Star Trek encyclopedia books that has a reference, and look up the episode and what her character's name was, and then make the change in the script. And Robert goes, Leela Chloe?
And then I thought to myself, oh, God.
Starts looking over at Robert.
He's like, how do you know that? It was all, I gave it up.
Right then and there, Shatner all of a sudden realized he was dealing with two lunatics. And our relationship was never the same.
But there was another time when his secretary comes in, says, Ricardo Montalban's on the phone. And he's like, Ricardo Montalban, and Mark and I
we're both freaking out. We're like, it's gone. This is so exciting. And he's talking to him on the phone, so it's just like in the movie.
But they never read. It's just view screen to view screen. You know, and we're sitting there privy to the conversation.
But Ricardo, come on. We're just freaking out.
And another funny story, we wanted to populate the movie with guest stars from the original Star Trek. People who played roles, and there's a studio executive at the beginning of the movie that one of the characters is pitching an idea to. And so this actor Malachi Throne, who played Commodore Mendez in The Menagerie, and he also played Pardek in Unification 1 and 2. I guess Unification 2. And he comes in to meet with us, and he still looks good. You know, he's got this great regal voice and very, very regal presence. And
like, you ready to read? And he goes, I don't think so. And we're like, well, what do you mean, you're not going to audition for the role? He goes, no, I don't want to do the role. He said, I'm much too classy for this role, but I just wanted to meet the guys who wrote this script.
I'm sitting there thinking, actors don't do this. Actors don't, and they don't take the time to come meet you and say, hey, we don't want to be in this movie.
It's absolutely fascinating, but I can't see myself in this role, so I just wanted to meet you guys. So we sort of abandoned our plans, because originally we were talking about casting Barbara Luna as Marlena, who's Shatner's love interest in the movie. We ended up casting Deborah Valkenburg from The Warriors and Too Close for Comfort and Streets of Fire, who's just phenomenal. We were talking about, you know, going after William Wyndham, and there was this whole idea to have all the supporting characters as like guest stars from the original Star Trek, and we sort of abandoned that.
So instead I got my dad. He plays a role. It's cheap.
Fine, but you know, with Shatner, the meeting with Shatner, we didn't want this aroma wafting through the studio, and you know, probably would get things off on the wrong foot. So they were like, we're not going to smoke in front of Captain Kirk, don't worry about that. So we're like, that's great. Ray is just a real great artist, and they're sitting there like little schoolboys waiting for Shatner to show up.
These are genuine gangster rappers that grew up in Compton. I mean, they are the real deal. They're not like, you know, Vanilla Ice or anything like that. They take their art very seriously.
Yeah, I mean, he used to tour with Tupac, and Randy's a real talented artist in his own right. And Shatner walks in there all like, Captain Kirk, Captain Kirk. And he goes, that gets real old after about 5 minutes. And from that point, he sits down, he starts to explain the story of Julius Caesar to these guys. He said, Julius Caesar was a lot like Martin Luther King. And like Robert and I are just like, oh my God.
Where is he going with this? And the rappers, they wanted to know where he was going with this too.
It goes, Julius Caesar, like Martin Luther King, was a man who got too powerful. He had the respect of the people, he was trying to do good, and he got too powerful, and the forces that be turned on him and killed him. And Reagan jumps up,
Says, I feel you, Will.
and Shatner goes, I feel you too, Reagan.
And they hugged and they embraced, and we're going, what is going
And then they
on?
start writing these rap lyrics, and Reagan's showing it to Shatner, and Shatner's going back to Reagan.
And that's-
He's going to the recording booth, and Reagan's doing his little dance, and you know, he's incredible rhythm, and he's a real talented guy. And Shatner has no rhythm, and he's trying to match up with Reagan, and it's just this comedic.
So watch that in the video loop, but we'll show a scene. This is the scene now that's coming up where the two guys have met Shatner in a bookstore, and they've convinced him that they work for a low-budget film studio called Full Eclipse.
And as a note to certain people who may enjoy this, they find Shatner in the bookstore reading Chic magazine.
I got it all worked out.
Won't that be a little long?
There'll be 3 intermissions.
Who do you see starring in?
Well, I'll play Julius Caesar. And all the other parts, too. I'll play Cassius with a beard, and Lucius with a long robe, and Trebonius a hat, and a full suit of armor for Mark Antony.
So you're going to play all of the roles yourself?
Well, I can't play Calpurnia. I thought we'd get Sharon Stone for that.
She actually could be a little difficult to get.
Thanks. Oh. We'll get Heather Locklear. I know Heather. She'd be great.
If you play both Caesar and Brutus, won't you have to stab yourself in the back?
I've done it before. Can't you just see it? William Shakespeare and William Shatner. Julius Caesar.
Listen, can we get you another drink?
No. One's on. I gotta go.
Listen, Bill, call me. I might be able to help you with this. I know people. Could I get your card? Okay, your business card.
Well, I mean, friends, Romans, happy about it. I need your money.
Musical Julius Caesar. It's quite possibly the worst idea I've heard since New Coke.
Jesus Christ, no kidding. My girlfriend bails on me, and then I find out the man I idolized since I was 2 turns out to be a raving loon. I can't believe my life.
I usually can't believe your life either. But Shatner's dementia is no reason to give up the gospel of the original series.
Okay, the man that we just met is not the man who invented the Corbomite maneuver, or the man who almost died defeating the Doomsday Machine.
Let it go. Separate the art from the artist. This is L.A. Nobody's ever living up here to be, other than John Tesh, who's not exactly who he appears to be.
No, I'm sorry. Shatner is, was, and ever shall be Kirk to me. And I need my hero.
What you need is a bank account.
Oh yeah, like you weren't basking in his presence. I know people. Who are as transparent as Wonder Woman's invisible jet.
Get shown a little bit it's also a romantic.
Can. Maximilian Schell was at this party, and they were in Judgment at Nuremberg together. They hadn't seen each other in like 38 years.
They embraced, and it was this huge whole thing. I mean, the 2 guys from Judgment at Nuremberg, and all Robert and I could think was, oh my God, it's Captain Kirk and Dr. Hans Reinhardt. Oh, together for the first time.
Maybe you'll try to convince him not to take the sickness through the thing.
So one final question before we get evicted.
How did you get the script to Shatner in the first place?
Through his agent.
Yeah, I mean, for anybody who might be a budding screenwriter out there, always try and get your material to whoever you want to get it to through proper channels.
Don't write a film for Mark Hamill and expect him to do it.
Right. Oh, and another quick thing. Everything you see in the movie, every action figure, every poster, all that, we had to clear it. And it took 4 months to shoot in that comic book store. We had to get blanket clearances from DC and Marvel just to be
Dark
in there.
Horse, and I mean, all the movie posters, you see all the toys. That's why there are no Star Trek toys. Paramount wouldn't give us the rights to show Star Trek toys. So you see a lot of Todd McFarlane toys, because they were very cooperative.
McFarlane was very, very
They
cooperative.
were wonderful.
And also, there was no Star
Star Wars
toys either.
Because Lucasfilm demanded that it be a PG film, and we said basically, my people are dying, Senator. No.
Yeah.
We said, you're a fool. And we did, no, we're not going to give in to that kind of thing. We didn't use any Star Wars toys, which was a shame because these guys are huge Star Wars fans, they're huge Star Trek fans, and you know, there's a lot of Battlestar Galactica because Universal gave it to us.
But we got to dig it up, Prince Caesar or Shizor or whatever. Shout out to the
Okay,
I guess we're cut off.
we're getting the cut off because the men behind the mask are